Hello, this is the Minor Dave Everist Show, or Report Show, and I'm going to give a report today on that Iranian general that was taken out by airstrike by President Trump. Congress gave him the authority to do that because, the war in Iraq isn't over, and it's never been rescinded or said. There's never been a peace treaty, nothing. So it's an ongoing war. An Iranian general, if he would have been struck in Iran, then we would have needed a congressional authority. But because it happened in Baghdad airport, he had all the congressional authority he needed because the general was an enemy combatant conducting war in a war zone where we're at. And Congress authorized the war in Iraq. So they call it a resolution. Resolution is the same as a declaration. It's just a softer word to use. And so I'll share the links where Google says, we're at war with Iraq, and Congress authorized the war. So since Congress authorized the war, the strike on that Iranian general is perfectly within his authority to do so. By the way, if you take the War Powers Act in place, he's got 90 days to conduct war. Then he has 180 days to withdraw all the troops if Congress doesn't. So think about that. War Powers Act doesn't limit the president. It spells out what he has to do when he has to do it. That's all. And by the way, have you seen a war Congress hasn't authorized? They've authorized all of them when it's a new one. But see, World War II officially ended because there was a peace treaty at the end of the war. The end of the war in North Korea, the Forgotten War, that war is not over. They have armies. They have a ceasefire that's just lasted for a long time. But technically, we're at war with North Korea still to this day. And then, of course, we've got the Gulf War, and we've got the war in Afghanistan, and who knows how many other named wars that we don't even know about. Think about that are not reported on, but we got troops there. Have a good evening, and remember where the source comes from for what a president does. It's based on stuff that's spelled out by Congress. And by the way, it's his fiduciary duty when passing out grant money that there's no fraud committed in it, and he can hold back grant dollars if there's fraud going on. Think about that. Joe Biden's son sounds like a bunch of fraud to me. I think he had justification in investigating it. He didn't say arrest anybody. He said investigate it. Have a good evening and a good weekend.